Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
Good morning, Branch 32, and good morning, Naps family. Wherever you are listening, I really do appreciate it. Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. I am your host, Robert Wakefield, president of Branch 32. Thank you. It's very nice. Absolutely. Got a great show lined up for you. So let's go ahead and let's pour that first cup. This season, we pause to reflect on the spirit of gratitude, and we're especially thankful for you. To our members, to our postal family, thank you for trusting us, growing with us, and standing together through every season. From holiday mail to everyday moments, your dedication inspires everything we do. You remind us that service is more than a job, it's a legacy. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for our first cup today, I'm going to make this episode a little personal. I'm going to reflect on my work at the Postal Service. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but I'm going to talk about a question first. And this is really the main theme of what we're going to talk about today. And it's this question that I've been thinking about lately. And here it is. Have we lost our sense of serving in the Postal Service? Great question. So let me rewind the clock a little bit. Like many of you, I've worn many hats over the years. I started working when I was about 11 years old and putting index cards with my parents' phone number on it and asking, could I cut your yard for $5? And so I mowed lawns in the neighborhood. That was my very first job. When I got to high school, I stepped it up a little bit. I got a job at Burger King. That's right. Have it your way. I worked at the drive-thru at Burger King, and let me tell you, I had so much fun doing that. If a friend came through the drive-thru and I knew they were there, I would say, "Welcome to Burger King. May I fulfill your hunger desires?" So stupid when I think about it, but I was 16. What do you expect? I played some commercials during baseball games at a local radio station. They never let me talk on the radio except to do the weather. I was allowed to do the weather. I even became a jewelry repairman for about 3 years. But in 1986, I found my way to the United States Postal Service. And from that moment until my retirement in 2020, the USPS became my life's work. Now, I joined for the reasons many of us did. A steady paycheck, health and life insurance, annual and sick leave, and retirement benefits for which I'm grateful to be enjoying right now. But looking back over all those years, over 35 years in the Postal Service, I realized it was something deeper. You know, becoming an EAS employee wasn't just about career advancement for me. It was about serving. It felt good to manage people and to help them succeed and to know that together we were serving the American people. Well, lately I've been wondering, have we lost that sense of service? I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but I do think it's a question worth asking because I see real signs that something has shifted. Let me give you an example. Over the last few months, I've had multiple, meaning more than one, several, a lot, Newly promoted EAS employees, they've come up to me and they've asked me, how do I go back to the craft? Not because they couldn't handle the job, but because they felt crushed by it. The long hours, the lack of days off, the constant criticism, the feeling that no matter what they did, it wasn't enough. And it's not just local. According to discussions that I saw across some USPS forums and reports from the NAP's consultative meetings, there's a growing number of supervisors who are either requesting to return to craft or considering leaving the Postal Service altogether. The reasons? Well, burnout, lack of support, being forced to perform craft work outside of emergencies, and a culture that too often tears down instead of building up. I know, just off the top of my head, I know 3 EAS supervisors that have just quit altogether. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm done. And they'll go and find another position, another job somewhere else. And that should not be. So I ask again, do we still care that mail isn't delivered on time? Are we okay with service standards being lowered while prices continue to go up? Why is it so hard to get new employees on the books? And how many reports do we really need to run an office well? Is our Zoom meetings helping me lead better, or are they just checking a box? And why are so many craft employees hesitant to step into EAS roles? Well, I don't have all those answers, but I do know this. When people stop feeling like they're being part of something meaningful, when they're overworked, when they're underappreciated, and constantly second-guessed, it chips away at their will to serve. And yet, here's the thing. Motivation doesn't always come from the top. Sometimes it has to come from within. Being an EAS employee means getting knocked down. Just get ready. But it also means getting back up and dusting yourself off and showing up again. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. To every EAS employee listening, I see you. I hear what you're saying. And I want you to know that you are not alone. As a member of NAPS, I can't promise that we will solve every problem, because we will not. No matter what the organization is, we're not going to solve every problem. But I can promise this, that we've got your back. We're fighting for fairness. We're advocating for better working conditions. And we're here to help wherever we can. So if you're feeling discouraged, if you're wondering whether it's worth it, remember this. You are serving the American people. You're part of a legacy. And your leadership still matters. Okay, so that wraps up the first cup. Let's go ahead and pour that second cup. This Christmas, give your budget a break with a little help from the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. We're offering Christmas loans at just 12% APR. You can borrow up to $1,200 for 12 months. And here's the best part. No payments for 60 days. That's right. Shop now, pay later, and enjoy the season without the stress. Whether it's gifts, travel, or holiday cheer, we've got you covered. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for our second cup today, this week, later on in the week, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving. And, you know, Thanksgiving for an EAS employee isn't just a holiday, it's a checkpoint. And we're balancing schedules. We're making sure carriers get on their routes covered, and clerks get to their shifts, and customers get their packages. And while everyone else is thinking about cranberry sauce, we're thinking about Amazon Sunday. It's that classic EAS spot, isn't it? Caught between, the expectations of upper management and the realities of the workroom floor. And that's what Thanksgiving reminds me of. It reminds me that we in leadership, it's about serving both sides with fairness and with a little bit of humor. Thanksgiving is just the perfect time to remember that gratitude isn't just personal, it's professional. A simple thank you to a team member who stayed late, or a word of appreciation to that supervisor who covered a shift, it goes a long way. And we know morale can dip, especially during a holiday rush, but gratitude, you can see that as fuel. It's what keeps people showing up, even when the mail volume feels like it's doubling overnight. So here's my Thanksgiving thought. Leadership in the post office is about more than just the numbers. It's about people. It's about making sure your team feels seen, valued, and supported, even when the pressure is on. So, let me raise this cup of joe to every EAS and NAPS member who's holding the line. You're the bridge between policy and people, and without you, the holiday heartbeat just wouldn't make it throughout the season. So to my branch 32, and to all branches out there, I hope that all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving season. Hope you're around family and friends, and that this moment is made special year after year. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being in NAPS, and thank you for being an EAS employee. And thank you for listening to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. Now, I've asked you many, many times to share this podcast with all of your EAS friends and NAPS members. I hope you're doing that, because if you're not, well, okay. You need to be. I'll say that. Hope all of you have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for listening today. I'm Robert Wakefield. And remember, every great weekend starts with a great cup of joe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupOfJoe@gmail.com.